I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back. We're here with The Challenge. I'm, as you know, Mackenzie Selden, and I'm here to continue our riveting talk about education with my guest here, Victor Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, correct. So, in our last segment, Victor, we were talking about education, pretty much, in the Hartford districts.
Yep.
What's going on with the magnet schools, charter schools, open choice, your opinion of them. What can we do to break this achievement gap and things of that nature. So I'm really excited to talk to you. I have just started getting into this education deal because I have a 5-year-old.
Yep.
So that
a lot
process,
of choices.
yes. Well, yes and no. There's a lot of choices, but getting in is the issue.
That's right.
The lottery.
Yep.
That was my biggest concern. I feel, in my opinion, I feel that if there's all these schools, like you said, there's like 16 high schools now, just alone in Hartford. Why is it that all our kids why do we have to have the lottery? What's the point of that?
Here's the challenge, right? Let's take it back. New Britain used to run the same type of system. They said, okay, let's have an open choice, but they used a magnet school model, right? And what New Britain realized very quickly is that we're spending a lot more money in education per pupil, or well, probably per facility, having these type of magnet school models. So they ditched that idea. And they still bring other services in to administer certain themes within the schools, but they went back to community-based schools. That's what we're used to, community-based schools. Because what New Britain found out is that the test scores and achievement between schools wasn't much of a difference by having a certain type of lottery system in place for a certain type of magnet school theme in place versus what they're producing, the end product, which is the kids' test scores or the kids' education.
Exactly.
So Hartford is challenged in that particular area. Not many people know how the lottery work, not even myself, or how it's supposed to be administered. It's supposed to be a database where information and names go in based upon when the seat become available, you get the call. You get the call. I think there's a certain manipulative factors that takes place with that. Takes place in that. I think what parents are challenged is that if you do not get selected for the school that you pretty much want your kid to go to, which is one based on theme or based upon location, you pretty much get left with what? With whatever's left. You don't have the opportunity to evaluate whatever's left. So that puts you in a tough predicament.
It does, because I mean, by the time I found out what school my son was going to, it was August.
It was August. So
yeah.
Now you can't make certain choices. What if you go in that school and you don't like that particular school environment? Exactly. Now you got a choice to make. Either I pay for the kid's education and go somewhere else, or I can send them to another catch-all school. It really leaves the folks leaves the parents and the kid who don't get selected in the catch-all situation. I don't think that's in the best interest of the student or the parent. I don't think that was taken into consideration. You know what I mean? Because here's what tends to happen. If elementary school with your kids, say, has high performing, right, and they cloud on these different themes, that they're a good school, they got high test score, a good teacher, good learning environment, you're going to want your kid to go to that school.
Of course.
So 90% of the parents too, right? All the kids aren't going to be able to go to that school, right? So the challenge is, how come every school can't have the same type of, higher test scores, or at least be pushed to have higher test scores? Because now your options are much broader. You know what I mean? So by default, it's almost like, I won't say they want failing schools. I don't really want to say that, but by default, it puts the parent in a tough predicament, especially the urban parent who can't afford to privatize their kids' education. Because if you go 4.5 miles up the hill, Avon and Simsbury, they have those options.
Exactly.
And they have the affordability. If a parent don't like what's going on in Simsbury School District, they send their kids to Northwest Catholic, or send them to a Loomis, or send them to the Walker. They have those because they can afford it. Once again, in the last I mentioned about the economic disparity. When we're in this urban setting, right, we're challenged, right? There's limited jobs, limited resources to jobs. Some parents don't have as much education or much financials to basically pay for their kids' education. So our options are very limited, but also they're being controlled by these committees, the board of education or education organizations, which limits our options to educate our kids.
But isn't the Board of Ed one entity? So why isn't there at least a minimal standard of what schools should be?
I think there is. I think there is. I think they think it is that they're trying to find the right management model, the best way to administer. But I mentioned before, there's another variable you throw into it. That's a different student. That student comes from a different home background.
And I agree that that is a big factor in the school system.
So I think in the urban community, we got to try to fix those pieces, at least address them, so we can have a kid better prepared to learn, and then the educator can teach that kid.
But I also feel that it's not always on the educators. It's not their whole responsibility.
It's
As
not.
a parent, the parents need to be involved. And I think that has a lot to do with how a student does in school.
Yep.
Because if a parent's not involved, then they're not really going to have the motivation when they get to school to do well.
That's a good segment to one of the things I talk about. Do school districts really want parents involved?
I don't. That's a good question. Some
And
probably do, some don't.
And what do they mean by involvement? In my kids' school, I challenged them on a lot of administrative and managerial things that they do. I've been told it wasn't my place. I've been told it is my place because my kid is going to be the end product of what you're administering here.
Exactly.
I've been told, well, my hands are held on certain issues. And I said, well, why are you telling me to be involved? I can't question what's going on around here. So do they really want parent involvement? Let me tell you what, this sounds crazy. This sounds kind of radical, right? When your kid turns 5 years old, 6 years old, I think, by law, we have to send them to school. We got to give them some, either we got to go get a voucher from the state, say we're going to homeschool them, or we got to send them to some, or enroll them in public school, or the pediatrician is going to call you. Well, how about this? How about 1 week in December or 1 week in January that nobody in Hartford sending their kids to the school? So who the hell the teachers are going to educate?
No one. They're going to be pissed they ain't getting paid.
They probably still get paid because there's certain unions and things they have on their end. But how about that? How about the parents start going on strike? How about the parents, instead of going to board meetings, right, probably positioning things for their one particular kid, but really start taking a look at how things are being done, how it's being managed.
But that also comes on the responsibility of the parent.
Absolutely.
A parent has to want to know what's going on in the school, want to see things be better for their students, and not just their own, but for students to come and previous students alike. And just having, we're all just going to chill, not go to school for a week. You have to have parents that want to. I'm not going to take you because there's a reason, not just because I'm feeling tired. I don't feel like getting
Just imagine that, though. Just imagine.
There'll be a lot of kids not in school.
There's a lot of kids. But just imagine the impact of that message, though. Imagine the administrators will be it'll be embarrassing to the administration.
Exactly.
Right? And which wouldn't be the intent. The intent would be to bring attention to some issues that maybe parents has gotten together in smaller community organizations and say, we need to address these issues.
Yes.
Right? And think about what excuse they couldn't come up with if the kid don't come to go into the class. They wouldn't have any more excuses but to listen to the parent or to listen to the governing body that the parents represented by. We need to reverse and change the game, in my opinion. If you really want education reform, it does start in the community. It does start with parents getting together, saying, you know what? Let's not all of us send our kids to school. Know who the teachers are going to teach. If you do that for a week, that's going to send a strong message, legislatively, all the way up to probably to the White House. CNN will be in town in a matter of minutes because nothing have ever been done that way. We did it in the 60s with sit-ins. When we wanted change, we found a way. We impact change. See, the urban parent need to really understand is that even based upon how our kids are being assessed, they're failing. They're not purely educating our kids. They're not getting our kids ready for the real world.
They're not.
There's not a reason why the average kid. I understand some kids are gifted and talented, and they're going to be modeled to go to an Ivy League. If you're modeled to go to an Ivy League, you're going to have certain levels of success based upon your drive, right? There shouldn't be any reason why the average kid, right? I don't want to say even have learning this, couldn't compete with an Ivy League for a job. I have, and I've ran circles around them. Right, because of my self-will and drive in my education, right? A lot of the kids when they leave, they don't know what they want to do. They settle for the bare minimum. And you know why they settle for the bare minimum? Because they received the bare minimum. If you tell my kids that all you got to do is get the bare minimum, I'm going to pass you, she's just going to produce the bare minimum. They're not pushing the kid to the next level. In the education environment, I'm going to push my kid personally. because there's certain things I think they can accomplish, right? I'm not going to mandate certain things because I think that can, you know, mold them in a different way. But I'm going to push them to their most optimist level as to any direction they want to go in. The schools have to do the same.
But do you think schools have enough resources to be able to push 100 or let's say 500 students to,
Well,
I want you to be a college, I mean, I went to Northwest, so
Yeah.
it's like a college prep school,
Absolutely.
they say. You know, they prepare
The
you to go
standard
to
is set
college.
day one.
Yeah, that's what they want. You know, and a lot of schools don't have that mindset. And I don't believe that every student has to go to college to be successful. I don't believe that. But I feel that you should have that at least motivation to want to do more than, like you said, the bare minimum.
Bare minimum.
There should be something after high school. You should
Exactly.
have some type of career goal or idea of what, you know, where you want to go
Well,
after school.
You're saying, do they have the resources? Boy, do they have the resources. There's more folks that's out of the classroom that make six figures in this education, this new education environment than ever before. It's not about do we have, yes, we have enough resources. It's about where you deploy their resources at.
Exactly.
Okay. It's about the resources. The resources need to be moved closer to the classroom. There are schools now that don't have textbooks, right? There are schools now that
Now, is that because they're using smart boards and technology, or is it just because they are behind in the times?
I'm just saying because the resources are misdeployed.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I see.
That's why I don't have textbooks. You should have textbooks, smart boards, iPads. You should anything that get closer to the classroom as you can.
Yes.
I don't know if you need 15 consultants telling you how to educate educate the kids. That's too much on the top end.
It should be.
Drive that money down or drive those resources down to the classroom and watch you're going to get a difference in performance. Because we should be throwing everything at the kid in the classroom. Never mind these new models. Never mind the consultants. I mean, you need them, right? But essentially, I don't think you need a dozen of them.
No, one or two. You
One-
know,
exactly.
Two heads are better than one. That's for sure.
Yep.
And I agree that resources should be in the classroom because a lot
Or
of times
closer
students
to the
go
class.
home and they don't have a computer or they don't have a way to go to the library so that they can't afford to get a library card so they can even use the internet.
That's
you know,
right.
to do homework or things of that nature.
Yeah.
So I agree that more resources do need to be in the classroom or close to the classroom.
At least closer to the classroom. And sitting in some central office is not very close to the classroom. Designing assessments or certain things to evaluate a teacher is not closer to the classroom. To me, that's for reporting purposes. You know what I mean? But we need to really find things that touch the kids.
And I agree. And I think it has to do with resources and, like, you know, parents' involvement. I am
Absolutely.
big on that because I know my parents were very involved with me, and then I see other students whose parents weren't really that involved, and like I said, they don't have that motivation to want to do better, you know, because sometimes they don't get it from the teacher because the teacher is, I have 30 kids, I got to teach these 30 kids. If 5 of them pass to the next class, great, you know what I mean? But I can't worry about everybody. I think that's the problem teachers get. They can't save everybody.
Oh, you're not. You're going to have certain variables
one,
of the kid learning. You're going to have kids coming from different environments with lack of resources coming into the school. The parent involvement piece is a tricky piece because I'm convinced that, yes, parent involvement, doing homework, making sure your kid is on task and prepared for school. I get that parent involvement. That's going to give your kids some edge and going to push them farther. But the type of parent involvement I'm really interested in is really going in and saying, what methods and approach are you using to educate my kid? And if I disagree with it, I got a choice. Either remove my kid from this environment or work with you to try to help change that.
Yeah, the parent and the teacher need to be on the same page. It has to be a team effort because I know when I tell the teachers this is what he likes, what he doesn't like. If you speak to him this way, you're going to get this reaction.
Yep.
So let's work together to get him to where he needs to be at.
Yep.
You know, and that's what, because I know teachers, they sometimes become the babysitter.
That's right.
And you just throw your kid in. I don't even know how to react to them. I don't know how to deal with them. I have to come up with all these different solutions, how to calm them down, what not. And that's how a lot of our students get that behavioral issue problem.
Oh yeah, and they get labeled. And they get labeled,
exactly.
and they get stamped, and then it follows them, and then on a manipulative basis, they say your kid have one issue when it's really something else, or they don't let you know in time, and they talk about this intervention is the new word. We put some intervention in place, and the quality of the intervention is never measured because as long as you got the intervention piece there, you're okay. I gave them intervention. As long as it's there, they're not really being measured with it, and it follows the kid. But when the kid get to high school, self-esteem starts settling in, personality and characteristic, the kid's not motivated. And
Exactly.
there go your 60% graduation rate right
Yep.
there. 40% of the kids don't complete in 4 years.
Exactly.
You probably get a 13-14% dropout rate. And if you look at those kids, they probably started in elementary school age as to where these problems start arising
Begin,
at.
yeah.
But we're challenged, though. I think parents, I'm dead serious, parents need to step up and challenge the administration.
Yes.
Seriously. I mean, if when we start to do that, we're going to make a lot of noise. We need to take our schools back from these districts,
Exactly.
from these administrators.
You're that Victor. We got to take our schools back. Parents step up, ask questions, make people answer them, and find the answer that you need, that you're looking for. Victor, thank you again.
Thank you.
For stopping by. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. And again, be blessed on the challenge. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.